I'm Elisa Mortensen, and this is Undo Redo.
Hello, y'all. How's everyone doing? I do care about how your relationships are going, and I want to hear from you what you have heard from me that is working and that helps you, and what you have started trying and have questions about. A lot of these episodes that I do is because someone reached out, or someone in class or a student of mine had something going on in their lives, and I think, oh, you know what? Everyone would want to know about this. So keep reaching out, keep telling me what you're going through, and keep sending me your questions so I can answer them through the form of podcasts too. Even if you aren't one of my students or clients, you are welcome to get a hold of me and request a topic that we can dive in on so I can get you help, because that is my number one, is showing you that this is possible. And there are so many ways to outthink all the drama we have in our heads so we can actually have real connection and peace and freedom in our relationships. So here we go. Today's episode, which you know, is self-sabotage versus permanent wins. We want you to keep your successes, to hang on to them, and to not lose ground and go backwards. So I've been studying my client and student successes, and I think this will benefit you and I, because then I can really track what is working. And it's amazing to see what I have put out into the world and how it's making a difference in the area that I think is most important in life, which is our relationships. I was thinking, and this is off topic a little, the stories that we have about our relationships really drive everything. Like if we aren't having a good, happy home life, we're worried about the kids, we're stressed about our elderly parents or something like this, we have a really hard time showing up at work. And the opposite is true. If our leadership at work is being affected by our home, so is our home being affected by work. So if we have horrible days, horrible coworkers, bosses, lots of drama at work, when we leave work, we carry that with us. So relationships do matter. It doesn't matter whether they're at home or at work. They both carry to one another, and you solve for one and you see how to solve for another. So it was just something I was thinking about. Relationships are everything. They create our overall outlook and our mood. If we're heard and understood, we show up so much better in our lives. So on with the topic here. All right. The connections that my students have made with other people in their lives has created the healing and peace that is now found in the interactions that were once dead, once very dreaded interactions. I was looking back and tracking the level of enjoyment they had in their interactions at home and in their career, and I've realized the more simple and profound I can make these kinds of breakthroughs happen with connection in my own life, using the tension, the mess, all the intolerable situations, using all of these things that we hate most to get better, more clear, deeper understanding. The better I get at it, the more clear, the more often I do this in my life, the more simple I'm able to make it for you. So the more I have, the more you have as students and clients of mine. This just proves even more that the rising tide lifts all boats. So you become the tide, and it's a beautiful thing. My tracking and looking back, it can't include the listeners that I don't know that listen to this podcast, and the people who have never worked with me over the years, or the students that go on to teach their friends and family all the little tiny things. I can't possibly see the reach that it has, right? But being touched by someone who is inviting them to a different, more up-leveled kind of energy has a ripple effect. There's a lot of value that I have put out there, and there may be a lot of hate, the emotional success of others and the envy, or just the lack of understanding. I'm guessing it happens with any sort of success, because we are also sometimes upset when other people are more successful than us with money or jobs or work, or we have better cars and things like that. So like success envy, I'm sure it's happening in this area of relationships as well. Because when we have something authentic that's really there, it could be hard for somebody else to believe that they could have it too, or they might think we're pretending, right? So they might feel annoyed and angry and like it will never happen for them. All right, I'm finding what works to get greater success in relationships. If you come with me and start learning this with me, you will have more success in doing what works as well. It moves them, it moves you. Keep shooting for real connection. It's been such a fun thing for me to see the amount of clear communication that can come from a little bit of guidance, the calmer cooperation, and that really fills you with such full enjoyment with the time that you have together with whoever it is that you are spending time with in the day, whether you have to spend time with them or you get to and you want to. It can all be added up to what I've been tracking that I feel so excited about. You know, this wasn't a skill for any of us before. You all know that none of us would even accept money or be paid to go back to the way things were before. This blows my mind how we can choose to have something totally new and different than we've ever had before. And that is what makes the impact that it has for us and others. So as you listen to this episode, I want to talk to a specific group of you who would really love to go all in on this. You are near understanding. You hope you get there one day. You're really trying already. You can see that connection's possible. You're not quite sure what to do, and you just don't want to crumble and fall and quit, right? Having the constant power struggles. You're ready to get them to listen. You're ready to get them to show up in the way that you've been dreaming of. And I know a thing or two about this. I know a few things about teaching connection. So let's start with connection is not the opposite of disconnection. It is so much more than that. So many of you think your lives are just fine. So many of you think one of two things, like you either think, I know what to do, and I should just have more gratitude. I can put up with it a little better. I'll have more patience. I'll just stop yelling. I'll become and control myself better tomorrow. Maybe I'll get more sleep or go get my nails done again or go get a massage, and then it'll all just reset. That's not true. The other thing you may be thinking is something like, if they would just listen, then I wouldn't have to yell. When they finally cooperate, then I can be closer to them. When they do their work, then I'll get along with them better, and then all will be well. Why can't they just do this thing so we can have a great relationship? But that isn't it either. That's what society teaches us, or one of those two things. Like, oh, if I could just be a better mom, or oh, if they could just listen. But we're held back by more than what we think. It's not us. It's not them in those ways. It's different than you think. If you were to ask any of my students or clients, they would say that they have grown exponentially away from any of these kinds of pointless beliefs. And that this kind of thinking is what kept them in that cycle of tension and frustration. So if you could create a tangible change, ways of getting real connection that accepts who we all are, celebrates our important differences, builds off each other instead of cutting each other down, a connection that is super impactful, the kind of connection that would never think of turning on one another. It's not even an option. There's no competition, there's no comparison, and it does exist. Can you really get behind the idea of each person being able to do their own part and everyone wanting to be included in growing together? Because it's there for the taking. I want to break down what I teach and talk specifically to those of you who are aware that this is a possibility for you in your life. Because you know you're at a place where you could choose to make these things happen. And from what I have seen and what I can do for you right now on this podcast to move you closer to that freedom and enjoyment with your kids, your teams, and your interactions, whoever you oversee, getting them to do what you want is all found in connection, not in control. For them to hear you instead of fear you, to be in touch with what they may need and what you may be missing as the one who is in charge. In order to do that, you must get rid of what is stopping you from being that person for them. I am really interested in what may seem impossible to do. I am really interested in what hasn't been done before. And when it comes to creating better, more clear interactions that fills us up more than ever before, not the interactions that would be deemed as average or typical, I'm interested in helping you. When I am leading you in your efforts and we together are brainstorming, it's a kind of super thinking together round after round that I am solving for precision of growth with you. And that matters. The whole reason I wanted to do this career of connection and leadership is because the average interaction is tolerance is all at best. And it settles in exhaustion. And that feels like burnout and overwhelm. Our thoughts about them become what's not right about them. So we can't help but be bracing ourselves every time we go to interact. I went personally from resentment to complete adoration for my people in such a short amount of time because I put myself in a place for a very extended period of time and still going where a whole group of people in a community were getting trained and taking classes and dreaming big. So that was the normal for me. It was normal. All of us see it the same way. So if you surround yourself with and tell yourself about how anything less than impossible isn't good enough. So if you surround yourself, so like me, if you surround yourself with and tell yourself about how it's possible and how anything less than that doesn't even do it for you, you'll just keep going until you get that, because that is your frame of reference. You put yourself in a community of people with a coach, and you're solving to make these kinds of relationships real. You are no longer needing anyone to approve or agree with you about it or complain with you about it. It takes you out of that average group. In that place, you have found no solutions and gained no ground over the years. The only resolve in that kind of a situation is to settle for less and hope that someone else changes so you can feel better. If you Google, which I did for this episode, the average feeling of a leader to team, parent to kid, adult children to their elderly parents, and especially caregivers, whoever their person is that they oversee, if you were to Google the average feeling, they're heavy. It starts with exhaustion or burnout being one of the main ones. Anxiety and worry are next. Guilt and self-criticism, ending in loneliness. That's what it said. It got me thinking how I know I'm not exceptional. I've been involved in a community of people for a while now that have been living in this authentic communication and enjoyment that I'm talking about. People who feel fulfilled in their relationships and have a sense of satisfaction and that deeper meaning. And I'm really interested in that becoming the new average. So the more people we have learning these skills to temper and repair, undoing the damage and redoing with higher energy, having it feel rejuvenating and reviving in such a fun way that honestly feels so restful, like taking a big break, but still having the workload remain the same. It's a little hard to articulate, and I'm really excited that you get to experience this. After having the chaos and that heavy weight, you'll fall in love with this new baseline of having more ease, but the same to-do list. What happens if you, who I'm talking to, doesn't realize this is a pivotal moment for you to choose? If you feel like you need this guidance and you are so done with that rat race that you're in, you can hear it, but maybe there's a hint of not trusting yourself, or you've never done anything like this before, that's the pivotal moment where you're like, I could see this really working for me. I want this so much. And you feel that call inside and you want to align with something like this. And you know that would be the answer for you, but you ignore it because of a list of fears, those excuses that come to your mind right after, like, I don't know if I could put in the effort. I don't have time for this. Or you'll talk yourself out of spending the money, which was my big thing at first. And I realized at that moment, if I have the money or I could find the money, that meant I could pay to make my life better in the way that I've always wanted, instead of buying more things that I did want but really didn't need, or go on more trips when I could have every day together with my family or people at work be more calm and more peaceful and learn how to navigate myself. It made every day a vacation, quite honestly. Sometimes we hear ourselves say, oh, it's the time of year. I'll either wait till school ends or summer begins, or maybe when winter is over, or maybe in the springtime. Like all these thoughts, you'll lose touch with that goal you have and momentum by giving into the self-doubt. You'll be repeating those lower end feelings which have kept you stuck already and why you're at where you're at. You'll need to interrupt it and go all in and trust that this is a proven process. Implement every step that you're told and go ahead and have what other people have and what other people are doing. If you really wanted to, you could jump in. Get out of control and manipulation with your people, that desperate, needy energy that brings exhaustion and ends in loneliness. And convert that to mutual respect, trust, security, and the support you deserve by being led through the same process that so many others have done to be the person, you be the person who can change your self-concept enough to have this kind of rest and freedom in your own life. So many people think, I can figure it out. I know how to get there. I'll look it up on my own. And these people may have one or two connections happen and a few wins and be excited about it, but it always goes right back to burnout if you don't change how you see yourself. You can self-coach just so far, but end up confusing the whole thing and everyone involved if you don't get mentorship through all the tricky ways that your brain gives you excuses, blames others, or just quits before it gets there. Some may listen to this episode and then think, I'll go implement the do-it-myself method. After you hear about these things on this episode, this is where the first form of self-sabotage is. You can't have those kinds of thoughts along for the ride. You need to make a strategy, but don't get the calm guidance to make it thorough. If you enter it haphazardly, doing what you think will work, the mistake is that you didn't know how to maybe slow down, because when we slow down, we make strategic moves that work with our higher self-concept. The one that believes in this, the one that understands what it takes to be that person who can lead the people in their home or in their career in such a powerful and magnetic way. You become someone who can hold tension and dissect the failures, finding the golden nuggets, pick them up and carry on, and also not collapse under it all. Learning new things, thinking in new ways about yourself, taking on a whole new identity, and embody the energy that it takes to get those people you oversee to buy in on coming with you. The second form of self-sabotage that happens is when we have some wins and we think, oh, we're on top of it. It's ego, right? Like we think we made it, we got it, and we set down the growth mindset. We forget to be open to new ways, new tools, to search for making it better and more clear. And that means we are not coachable anymore. When we've arrived, we become the teacher instead of the student, if you will. We get very clingy and we stay very stagnant. We hang on to what isn't working in this stage. And the next form of self-sabotage is entitlement and expectations. We start thinking we could make this happen our way with very little effort. But the efforts are needed to be deeper rooted and have that kind of belief and guidance. Keep practicing that within ourselves. Otherwise, we end up blaming the kids, blaming the team, blaming the elderly parent when we should all be working together. That's what entitlement feels like. All should be doing their part. And when all are not doing their part, we say it's their fault. It's your fault. This is where we release those expectations and all that entitlement and we dive deep into responsibility. You are a parent, you are a leader. They rely and depend on you to take responsibility for your own growth. You are stewarding. There's responsibilities and decision making. You can't ever be above hard work as a leader or a parent. We want things to run smoothly. We'd like people to cooperate, but you can't assume it will always go well. It's important that you can't stop being the person who is creating what needs to happen, seeing through what needs to happen, solving the problems to get to what needs to happen, giving that support and that guidance because they need you. Self-sabotage by having expectations stops you from being the one who's in the driver's seat. When we very first begin making these connections with our kids and our teams, it feels collaborative, judgment-free, it's very inviting. And to this level, we don't have any expectations for it because we didn't know how long it would take to get there or what it would look like. We are just in it for the long haul until it happens. We're not thinking, I shouldn't have worked this hard, or this shouldn't be happening, or they shouldn't be doing that. We're just like, I'm going to work on connection and collaboration. I'm going to invite everybody. We're going to see what happens. No expectations. And we work with it to keep getting closer. We know we are going to have to go out, do the work, and see what happens. No expectations. No entitlement. We know we will be pulling them out of drama. We know we will be pointing to the facts and reminding them very often what the goal is here. Who you are in that part of the growth matters. Who you think you are in this whole journey while you're gaining your leadership skills matters. Sometimes what sabotages this connection is that we expect too much from them. We're expecting too much from our kids, from our team members, or from the person we're caring for. And it shuts us all down because we are the ones depleting them. They may not be sufficiently able to carry the load. They aren't prepared well to handle the weight we're placing on them. We're dumping too much on someone who isn't prepared properly. If you are working too fast to get someone to care for themselves so you can have a break, this is not the right space to be in. You will overlook what is really needed and miss some important details. The difference between being in a rush and being at ease is you're able to see the long game and keep that perspective and make a plan and stick to it. You want to keep being the guide and allowing the highs and the lows and working with both of them. You never want to frame it as something that drains you. You want to keep your power, keep your creativity, and problem solve. Hang in there through what's unexpected and undesirable. This helps you not be tipped over or surprised when they inevitably will happen. Let's change the focus now to finish up. The other side to sabotage is permanent wins. Straight out of the gate, I want you to know these permanent wins are not what you're thinking. Permanent here doesn't mean fixed for good. It means we hold it up with a confident self-identity instead of a scared and insufficient one. Also meaning we are held up with an assured mind, a mind that we have trained to see we have what we need. Instead of feeling like I might collapse at any time because I don't have the skills or belief yet. If you hustle, you will be exhausted when you finally get there and unable to hold it steady. And that's okay if this happens. I'm here for you. We find out when spinning out a negative emotion and being drained, we go back and we build from the ground up to make sure the foundations are accurate. And they'll notice right away there's less spinning out, less negative emotions, and less being drained, and less work to do when you start doing it this way first. So if any of you are coming into this for the first time and you haven't been trying this work, it really is so much better because those bad habits and tendencies may not be in place yet. And we can get you going without having to undo much. Here's what creates permanent success and maintains a high impactful, fun, inviting connection with your people. It gets them to listen. It gets them to cooperate. It gets things done. It supports the bigger picture. First, know your winning strategy and use it. Here is where you and I get specific about the dynamics and needs of your situation. We do only what works. We don't mess around with what everyone else thinks works. You are in the position of making decisions on behalf of your people, your group, your kids. So it's you who is deemed qualified to know best for them. And as we go through all the details of all of your wins, you keep that version of yourself that is on it. You strengthen that person. You do not abandon them. And you'll want an expert guide along with you so you stay out of the emotions of frustration, shutting down when it gets hard, or people let you down, mess up, go against you, or just flat out don't show up when they say they would, or all of the above. It really will capitalize on the help available to you. Keep that goal in view. When you're on your own, you lose sight of the big picture. You become clouded with confusion and emotion, and you give in and settle like you've always done before. You and I don't waste time. You want to have your coach focus you on your self-concept, on a stronger self-concept. A strong self-concept is how you see yourself, what you think you're good at. And that forms a belief about your abilities, allowing you to bounce back quickly when things are hard. It affects your overall attitude. When you think you are good at something, you do better in it and you enjoy it more, rather than thinking you're bad at it and then all you can do is avoid it. In short, it's how you perceive yourself, and the talk you use can increase bravery and readiness to learn more. You'll need a clear plan for your future goals. And this is a strategy that gets you there. Whether it takes you 6 weeks, or if you have a really low self-concept, it may take you a year. Either way, it's an up level that doesn't go backwards. It sticks. We figure it out together. And as it's working, we document it, we track how it works, so you can always pick it back up later. Learning more about ourselves and how we develop is the key to each of our individual lives. Imagine know all about what makes you do what you do. So if any of you want to join me and many others on this journey together, we make things happen that most will only dream of. Most think they have to get rid of their job, the kids must be fixed or moved out, and people we care for have to get better or die before we can have that calmed kind of connection that we wish we could have. What we do here is we make it possible to feel how we desire and show up like a boss to all of our responsibilities and have it be more calm and comfortable than you ever imagined and do more than you ever thought was possible. Go to Elisa Mortensen on Instagram and click the link to book a call, and we'll get a plan just for you. Even if you don't commit to anything, just get a plan for yourself and leave the call knowing exactly what to do next, and start this today. As always, if you've had any thoughts about anyone else while you were listening, please share it with them, because that is how heaven reaches us, is through each other. I love you all, and we'll talk again soon.